Item number 12, House Bill 537, Representative Stewart. I think you have a guest, and as we talked earlier, without objection, if there's two sides of this issue, obviously, and we'll give each side 5 minutes. So if you will bring your guest. Okay, yeah, oh yeah, just explain the bill.
And thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for giving us that opportunity. Much appreciated. You know, this is a bill that just proposes a tax swap. We've all been trying for many years to I won't speak for members of the committee, but I think it's important to try to take the tax off food that our families buy. And what this would just propose is to reduce the tax on food by a percentage point for all food that families would buy, and pay for it with just an increased tax on sugar-sweetened beverages, which is something that a lot of doctors and health professionals have been talking to me about for many years. I've got two of them here to split the 5 minutes, Mr. Chairman. I've got Joan Randall, who's the Administrative Director of Vanderbilt's Institute of Obesity and Metabolism, and then I've got Scott Hagan, who's the Vanderbilt President of the American Medical Students Association, and they'll just both speak on why they think this is an important issue.
Okay, if you gentlemen would come forward, and lady. You're recognized, and give us your name for the record, please.
My name is Joan Randall. I'm the Administrative Director of Vanderbilt's Institute for Obesity and Metabolism, also the Executive Director of Tennessee's Obesity Task Force. Our kids are sick, and it's happening very early in life. Excessive weight gain in the first 3 months of life is associated with increased cardiovascular risks by early adulthood. 26% of our preschoolers, age 2 to 5, are now overweight or obese. Preschoolers who were overweight are 5 times as likely to be overweight as an adolescent. 80% of children who were overweight adolescents become overweight adults by the age of 25. Why is this significant? Because obesity is a major risk factor for some significant chronic health problems: heart disease, stroke, diabetes, asthma, sleep apnea. Research indicates that obese children may have a lower self-esteem. It is linked to poor academic achievement, fewer friends, and depression. Quite simply, healthy kids do learn better. Studies show that obese children are not learning as well as those who are not obese. Last week, you should have received a plan from the State Tennessee Obesity Task Force that outlines specific strategies to decrease obesity in our state. This was a plan written by your constituents across the state, and very prominent among those recommendations is a recommendation from the Institutes of Medicine, CDC, to decrease consumption of sugar-sweetened beverages, and we feel that this bill leads the way toward that. Thank you.
Have any questions from the committee? Seeing none. Oh, we have one. Vice Chairman Johnson.
We have a problem in our state with childhood diabetes.
Yes.
How much of that is directly related to weight?
Type 2 diabetes there's a direct correlation between weight and type 2 diabetes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Leader Fitzhugh.
Thank you, ma'am. I guess I wasn't listening closely enough, but there was a percent you put out, 26% on, I believe you said pre-K. Could you tell us that again?
26% of our preschoolers, that's age 2 to 5, are now overweight or obese.
Thank you, ma'am, for being with us. State your name for the record, please.
Scott Hagan.
You're recognized.
Thank you. I'm a medical student at Vanderbilt, and having a passion for working with children, I wish to pursue a career in pediatrics. As a result, I've spent a lot of time in pediatric clinics at Vanderbilt, and from my conversations with physicians there, it's become clear to me that, it's safe for me to say that the most important public health problem that we face as providers today is the obese or overweight patient. 30 years ago, 1 in 10 children were obese or overweight in Tennessee. Today, that number has more than tripled, and now there are 1 in 3 children who are overweight or obese. These children also have an 80% chance of going on to being obese adults, and to also experience the costly chronic diseases that come with lifelong obesity. Joan Randall has already named a few of those diseases: diabetes, stroke, heart attack, liver disease, renal failure, heart failure, and even more recent evidence of risk of a number of cancers. With higher obesity rates, the health of our patients is declining, and experts estimate that my generation of Americans will be the first whose life expectancy is estimated to be shorter than that of our parents. Further, this declining health comes with a cost. In Tennessee, we currently spend $1.5 billion on complications related to obesity. In 10 years, we're expected to spend $7 billion. So what does this bill, HB0537, have to do with obesity? Consumption of sugar-sweetened beverages has more than doubled in the past 30 years, so that now sugar-sweetened drinks, regular soda, energy drinks, sweet teas, juices, etc., are now the single biggest contributor to the average daily caloric intake of Americans. In other words, 10 to 15% of a child's food intake is actually not from food at all, but from drinks that we know from evidence leave a person less full and more likely to continue eating. There is now clear evidence that consumption of sugary drinks increases one's risk for obesity and its myriad health complications, so that for each can of sugar-sweetened beverage that a child consumes, his or her likelihood of becoming obese increases by 60%. Further, a number of studies, most recently at the Harvard School of Public Health, have found that increasing the price of sugar-sweetened beverages, for example through a tax, even modestly, leads to significantly decreased consumption as consumers opt to drink diet drinks and water instead. A tax on sugar-sweetened beverages by reducing consumption of unhealthy sugary drinks could significantly reduce obesity rates in the United States. Most of you already know about our food tax being the third highest in the nation at 5.5%. I would again like to draw on my experiences talking with diabetic patients, many of whom would like to eat healthily, but identify their major barrier to that as being the cost of healthy foods related to junk food. And recent evidence has also shown, and this should be obvious to everyone here, that healthy foods are more expensive than high-calorie, energy-dense junk food. So by reducing the food tax, Tennessee families will be able to make those healthier choices in the grocery store. So in conclusion, if HB 537 passes, Tennessee's families will be able to make better choices in the grocery store, shifting away from the unhealthy sugary beverages that are responsible for a significant proportion of our obesity epidemic, and towards more healthy food choices. I know that the beverage industry will now speak about how this bill has nothing to do with obesity and will unfairly tax their industry. I would just like for you to consider two things. First, most data on soda taxes show that consumers end up buying less regular soda but actually purchase more diet soda and water, which are produced by the same industry. So I do not really believe that this tax will negatively affect their industry. And second, the interest of soda companies, as should be the interest of any company, is to protect their bottom line, not to promote public health. And right now, their bottom line is selling a product that has been known to contribute uniquely to our obesity epidemic.
Sir, if you could just kind of bring it to a conclusion.
That's it.
We've gone, okay, thank you. Any questions at all? Seeing none. Now, Mr. Raymond Thomason from the soft drink industry will be here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee. Clearly, HB 537 is about taxes and tax policy, health and nutrition, or something else. If the legislation is about reducing the overall tax rate for groceries for all Tennesseans, then it would be very easy for anyone in this room, including myself and my industry, to be in favor of the legislation. In fact, as referenced by the previous speaker, 2/3 or 3/4 of all our products would benefit from the reduced sales tax in the marketplace. If the legislation is about reducing the overall tax rate for groceries for Tennesseans by reducing the sales tax rate by a penny, shifted to an excessive and draconian tax increase of $91 million to one industry and one particular product, then our industry is opposed. If this legislation is about using tax policy as a Pavlovian social experiment to increase the market price of a particular product deemed non-essential or unhealthy by the state to help uneducated Tennesseans make better choices in the marketplace, our industry would have to oppose this legislation because it uses tax policy to interrupt an individual's right of choice and personal responsibility. The Beverage Association opposes House Bill 537 because it subtly joins the popular belief that our products are the chief or principal cause of the obesity issue and the peripheral health issues of diabetes, heart disease, and stroke. I want to be careful here. I don't want to gore someone else's ox. But soft drinks are not alcohol, and they're not tobacco. The sponsor has equated them the same. No one is being arrested by the police for driving a vehicle and abusing the consumption of a soft drink. The concern over secondhand smoke has proven to be a legitimate concern. I don't believe there's been any health issue expressed over a secondhand soda. If this legislation is about health, nutrition, and obesity, then let's talk about that. A 16-ounce non-diet soft drink has 52 grams of sugar. Juicy Juice white grape drink has 68 grams of sugar. A 16-ounce chocolate milk has 58 grams of sugar. Is sugar the issue? Calories from sugar-sweetened beverages, including all soft drinks, juice drinks, flavored waters, and other beverages, make up only 7% of the calories of the American diet. That's not a soft drink figure. That came from the National Cancer Institute. Nutritionally speaking, there's no such thing as a bad sugar, since all digestible sugars provide energy to the body. It doesn't matter to an individual cell in the human body whether it's glucose that fuels the body is a starch or a sugar. So it doesn't discern whether it's a baked potato or a soft drink. The body converts to sugar. The soft drink industry is responsible by responding to consumer demand by providing a myriad of beverage choices and a wide variety of calorie selections. From 1998 to 2008, the industry cut the total beverage calories it brought to the marketplace by 21% through the innovation of more non- and low-calorie beverages and smaller portion options. We believe that it's easy to demonize any product. We also think that the human body is a piece of chemistry, if nothing else. It takes in and it puts out. If you take in 2,000 calories, if you don't want to gain weight, you've got to burn 2,000 calories a day. We can't be blamed for the consumption of, I think the figure was, preschoolers being overweight. I don't think a 2-year-old is being drowned in soft drink by their mother. If a child under the age of 2 is overweight or at birth overweight, I don't think it's from the consumption of soft drinks. Lastly, over the past several years, there have been studies about the obesity in pets. And I defy anyone to tell me that they've seen Barney the Beagle, or Susie the St. Bernard, or Felix the cat laying around drinking a soft drink, getting fat. It's because they're not exercising and their masters are not exercising. The masters are overeating and they're overfeeding their pets. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Closing comments, Representative Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just 3 quick points, and and I'd be happy to take any questions if there are any. First, let's face it, I mean, I don't think any bill that cuts the tax on 99% of everything in a grocery is going to hurt consumer choice. Not trying to demonize any industry. I'll just say for my own self, I'm a big Coke drinker. But I don't mind paying a little more on a Coke so that the person down the street who's trying to buy milk for her child can buy it with a lower tax rate. The reason, and a third point, the reason it's good tax policy, I think, to always try to tax things that are like beer and soda that are nice to have but are not necessities is because it allows people to only pay the tax by choice, as opposed to when you put a tax, when you have a high tax on milk, you have a high tax on groceries. Nobody has a choice to buy groceries. We have to buy those. So it's just a matter of who pays the tax. Finally, the fact of the matter is, we could pay, Mr. Thomason is correct, there are a lot of different ways we could pay to reduce the tax on groceries, which I think is very important. We could increase taxes on businesses. We could increase the business tax or the franchise tax or the excise tax. I just don't think that's very good tax policy. I think it's better just to impose a tax, as we have on beer, that just modestly increases the amount people pay for a nice-to-have like a Coke. I don't think most of us are going to really be affected dramatically by that. I certainly don't mind paying a little more tax, and I think it would make for a more just tax policy for our families overall. And with that, be happy to take any questions.
Have any questions of the sponsor? Seeing none, this bill does have a negative impact to local governments the way it's drafted, so we'll, without objection, we'll place it behind the budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I look forward to working with you on that fiscal note.